Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. It's Matt and Roy with ESC United. This is the Mattitdue live stream where we talk about, yet again, you guessed it right, Eurovision. And of course, as mentioned, I got Roy with me. Roy, officially the national final season of 23 is over. How are you going to cope?
I think tonight I'm gonna lock myself up in my bedroom and cry all night. I love national final season. It's my favorite part of Eurovision, probably. Like
Yeah.
speculating who might win, discovering all the different
Screw the
music.
Eurovision week.
Screw it. Just like let's move on to 2024 immediately.
It's funny, like in the middle of it, I'm just like, I just want to get my life back. I want to get through
Mm,
this. I want to have, some time to myself. And now that's over. I'm like, crap, so
yeah.
you can't win. So, but no, as said, last night, Saturday, we had the last two national finals of the season, Sweden and Portugal. Of course, we still have a few more songs ahead of us, but more on that in just a moment. We're going to talk it through as always, and then of course answer your questions in between. And at the very end, by the way, we'll have an open Q&A where you can shoot any questions at us. I see already people in the chat chatting away. Blues on said, and just another 40 odd weeks until the next national final. I love that attitude. That is
Exactly.
how it should be, right? But I think we should focus on this one. And already our moderator, Osros, very well says it in the chat. If you want to talk to us, make sure it's at ESC United so I know you're talking to us.
Yes.
So you ready to jump into it, Roy?
Of course, always.
You want to talk about a small, tiny national final that no one pays attention to called Melodifestivalen for just a moment?
I think we could skip it.
We could skip it. Nobody cares. Now, let's talk about Sweden. Melodifestivalen 2023. After 4 heats, 1 semifinal, we finally reached it. The grand final of Melodifestivalen, where 12 acts were battling it out. 50% of the votes from the juries, 50% from the televote. And before we go into the details, let's just remind ourselves of the 12 acts in the running. Here's a short recap. There you have it, the 12 acts in the running that were in the running last night. And of course, once they're all performed, the lines open and everyone in Sweden, they were able to vote. And while that was happening, we got the jury votes in. And I don't think it came as a surprise when the results showed that Loreen with Tattoo won the jury vote by a hefty margin. Every jury, except for one, gave Loreen the high score. So at that point, it was very difficult for her to lose it. And ultimately, she also won the televote. Therefore, going to Eurovision Liverpool for Sweden, returning after 13 years, Loreen with Tattoo, clearly a fan favorite. And as of right now, the betting odds favorite. How did you enjoy the show, Roy?
Yeah, it's very Melfest again. Like, it's very slick, very modern, very well produced. Like everything is worked out to the T. It was funny in bits. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the Dennis Oseda interval act, but it was okay, I guess.
It's funny. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I did tweet about it. So Danny said, I'm paraphrasing right now, but I tweeted about it in 2012. He came second to Loreen, right? With
Yeah.
Euphoria. And he was like, no one in Europe's going to vote for Loreen. People will not get that kind of music. And now the irony that he is just the inevitable act, the year that Loreen gets to go to Eurovision again, it's like you can't make that up.
That's really funny, actually.
Yeah, he was very, very bitter. And I said 13 years, I meant 11 years. I was in the year 2023, so my brain got stuck on the number 3. But yeah, so Lorraine obviously did a fantastic job. The staging was amazing, and she is just the way she carries the song. It is just amazing, because I always said the song to me is a really good song, a great pop song, but it's really her and the whole thing that she does with it that really, really elevates it. And you just went like, you just in awe, like, oh, this is just so beautiful to watch. And she gives it her all. And she was so humble and so excited about it, because she had her I don't want to call it a flop, but certainly her moments where she tried to come back in 2017, I believe, with statements, and that didn't even make it to the final. So she knew that there was still a good chance that she once again would underperform, and that did not happen, of course. So I'm very, very happy for her, and I totally see why people going crazy over this one, because it is just delivered so well. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think Loreen is really the selling factor of this song. I think the song as it is isn't necessarily that great, if I were to say so. I mean, it's like you hoo hoo, tattoo hoo hoo. It's a bit like not necessarily the best ever written piece. But Loreen really makes it work on the stage. Like her vocals are insane, her charisma, her way of moving on the stage, like it's mysterious, it's cool, and that's what people like to see in a performance, basically. And yeah, this year it works, and unfortunately, it didn't work with statements. I would have preferred this one. No, statements over that one. This one. Wait, you get what I
You
mean, right?
preferred statement over tattoo.
Exactly. And like, I'm not the biggest fan of returning artists either, especially when they're kind of doing the same thing as they did before. Like, yes, there's a lot of time in between, but it kind of feels like Tattoo is kind of doing a little bit of the same that Euphoria was doing as well. So I would have preferred maybe a different genre from her whenever she would return. But hey, a lot of people love it. It makes sense that it won.
Yeah, and it's just amazing me, because it just really shows, as pointed out, when you have a really more than just a buff performer putting
Yeah.
a song, because you have valid points. You lyrically may not be the biggest masterpiece ever written. It is the most unique pop song ever existed. No, but here comes Lorraine. She sings it so well with so much compassion, and then the staging and the visuals are just like, wow, this is a completely different song than what you hear in the studio version. And that what makes a great performer. Lorraine is just so good at it. And I'm just very, very happy for her. Now, there's one little caveat. I don't know. I mean, it happened before. So we all seen Lorraine staging Roy, right? With the
Yeah.
big screen coming down. There's a really good chance that this will not be able to be done at Eurovision, because that is, I think it's a 1.8 tons heavy screen. And
Yeah.
keep in mind, that would block a lot of the other lights, all of the cameras in Liverpool that it's needed for the entire show. So SVT would need to come up with a solution, right? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it seems like they probably will have to come up with a different staging a little bit, or at least some different way of putting the ceiling on top. Because one, it is very heavy. Two, it is extremely big. And I also heard there was like 3 minutes to like put the staging together before the song could go live, and that's kind of the time you don't necessarily have all the time at Eurovision, because you need to go very quickly. Like you need to move one stage out, and then the next needs to go in because it's quick after each other, and you usually only have like one little bit of a or like
A week?
um no, no. I wanted to say recap, but I don't mean
Oh,
recap.
recap.
Like the,
Okay, I
the,
thought you
the
said
little
week.
bit in between that you always get in the songs. And there's not enough time to really get that going. So it'll be interesting to see how they solve it. Will they just do like a canopy kind of thing? I don't know. That would like cheapen the overall production of it quite a lot.
Yeah,
It's going to
we'll
be
see.
interesting how to tackle it.
But they are very creative. John Lundvik, that tried to have lights up there as well in 2019, right? And it wasn't
Hmm.
approved. It was too difficult. So they
Yeah.
still managed to come up with that, pushing that little screen thing in, and it worked. The thing is, at Eurovision in particular, anything that hangs or comes down from the ceiling is often not a no-go per se, but certainly a big, how are we going to do that? We all remember Duncan Lawrence's tiny little light bulb that came down, and that was a huge issue just by itself. Just bringing
Yeah.
that little light bulb down. So can you imagine having this massive, massive wall coming down? That is insane. But if somebody knows how to do that, we'll go from there.
Yeah. And
And
usually
it,
when
Go ahead.
when
Okay.
when people do something from the ceiling, it's like it was already there from the stage design. So it's not something that delegations necessarily put there. So it's
Yeah.
quite a big thing to put there.
Yeah. The EBU told the Swedish delegation about what the arena could handle in advance. Yes, and the team that
True.
put this together, they were aware of the potential drawbacks of that, but they believe they still wanted to do in Melodifestivalen, win it, and then figure out Eurovision, which is fine. That is their right to do, because this wouldn't be the first time that something cannot be done. And I'm not saying it's not possible, because we have other things hanging from the ceiling. We had the big giant moon in 2021 for Spain and the big trumpets for the UK, but it's less about, it has to work, and they're not moving, right? They were stationary. So it's a lot different. So we will see. Now, clearly, if you pay attention, at this point, it is, I think, obviously the fan favorite when you look at polls and betting odds, all that stuff. Let's talk this through, Roy. Do you think that there is a potential that Tattoo could be overhyped within the bubble, or do you think this is the one to beat at this point?
I do think it is a bit overhyped as well, but I also do think that it is one of the front runners this year, because a lot of not only fan press is talking about it. Like in the Netherlands, people were already talking about Loreen participating in Melodifestivalen even before it won, and that was mainstream media. Like if you have that in every country, and everybody says, "Oh, Loreen is returning. Loreen is returning." People who watch Eurovision will already be kind of primed to have in their mind, "Oh wait, Loreen is returning. I liked Loreen back then. I will vote for her again." So it's going to be interesting to see how much of an effect that has. It's a bit unfortunate, nearly, that it has such an influence with the press.
With Antonio, to add your question, how much do you think nostalgia plays a role in people's reaction and support for the entry? Because as you said, the media is already reporting on it.
Yeah.
And it's because she won the contest before, and there is a little bit of hype. Do you think
I think when people don't hear anything from the press or anything, and they see her on the stage, it'll be like, "Oh wait, I recognize her." It's not going to be that big of a difference. But when like the mainstream media puts so much focus and attention on her, and like it spreads all around Europe already, that will put people in a different mindset, because they've like heard the voice or like the name a couple of times before as well. Yeah, I wanted to say something else as well, but I forgot what I wanted to say.
And then it was probably a lie. So the what that's kind of what family used to say. But no, I will say this. At this point, I will agree that I think Loreen is the one to beat. There are people out there saying, it's a foregone conclusion, Sweden is going to win. I am not there yet. I will say that we still have a few songs to go. Most of them we know now. At this point, I could see Sweden easily winning the jury vote. It seems like the kind of song that they would go crazy over and be at the top. I am not convinced that she is a guaranteed televote winner. That being said, you don't need to be per se. I could easily see her doing more of a Manzamalo, where he won the jury vote by such a hefty margin that a third place in the televote didn't matter, because that score alone dragged him up so much. I could easily see Loreen doing something like that. And that doesn't mean I cannot see her winning the televote. Just right now, I'm not sure it is going to be as significant, because keep in mind, even Euphoria, that smash hit that we still talk about 11 years later, barely won the televote. It was like 10 points shy from the Grammys from Russia beating her, so it's nothing is for sure. But I still think that Loreen is the one to beat, and I would be surprised at this point if this would change, at least in terms of the predictions and the polls and the odds. Let's talk about a few other ones. So this is Roy-Festivalen. Roy, who should have won and why? If your favorite.
My favorite was by Kiana.
That's a surprise. I didn't expect that. Go ahead.
No, it is quite surprising, I would say, but it's just I really like the vocal tone that she has. Like you can really see it in the verses, but it's just a bit of a generic pop song, perhaps. But she delivered it with so much energy. I really, really, really enjoy watching that. I do wish that she's very young and a massive talent, and I hope she really looks at what she wants to do as an artist, and then find her style, find her groove, find her genre, basically, and then comes back in a few years. Because I see some good potential in Kiana. Definitely impressed me last night.
Yeah, I think she needs to find herself as an artist to truly
Yeah.
find her craft. She reminded me a little bit of, I forgot her name, Mia Pritz, like
Oh
you,
yeah.
me, and I, and then she changed her style. I don't think she has found herself as the artist that she is, and Kiana probably will be is currently falling the same category. That doesn't mean she's going to end
Yeah.
up in the same, because she went downhill in Melodifestivalen. Kiana could go even further up. We shall see. So, but that's kind of often how it goes when you're being put in a situation. Here's a song that for you to sing, 16-year-old girl, so, and then
Yeah.
they don't even know who they are. I said it before, if Smash Into Pieces would have been the winner, that Sweden probably would have been my number one. I'm listening to this all day. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Oh. But that's my kind of music. So I knew it wasn't going to win, but I am stoked that it came third, and third in the televote on top of it. So there is a place for this kind of music that is maybe not the predictable sounds condescending. I shouldn't say that. More
It's
mainstream pop
alternative.
sound. Yeah, it's I like that idea. Let's talk about real quick. Did you think at any point that there was a chance that Marcus and Martinez, who came second, ultimately with Air, could catch Loreen, or you knew that was just?
Um, it wasn't necessarily that. It was more like the first jury result being announced, and it was like 8 points to Loreen, and then 12 went to Theos from the Croatian jury. That was like, oh, wait a second. She doesn't necessarily have this fully in the back, but then everything was 12 points, 12 points, 12
Yeah.
points, 12
Can I
points,
add
12
something to
points.
that
So,
real quick?
sure.
I would hear your thoughts. Do you think that is a potential indicator, because that came from Croatia, a country that is not as like part of the Western alliance that we see in all the other juries that we've seen there? Do you think it's something to it? Maybe Lorraine is more really geared towards more like the Western part of the continent, and there is a potential that like in the Balkan world or in other places this may not go as big. Is that, or am I overthinking that?
To a certain extent, definitely, because I think we all have a sort of music style that we listen to a lot, and people who live in the Balkan have a totally different style of music they listen to on the radio than we in the North. Like, yes, you'll have songs that will do well in every country in the world, but it just makes sense why they also vote for countries that send something similar to what they already listen to. So, could she perhaps get a little less points from those countries? Yes. Will it be enough to have her completely flop? I don't know. I don't think so necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think flop, but I think there is a
No,
case to be made that maybe it won't be the number one everywhere,
it might
but
hinder her.
we'll see. Collins is asking, I'm surprised Maria Sir did poorly with the jury. I thought she would be top 3. Were you surprised that Maria Sir with Never Give Up did not convince the juries? Because she only got 10 points from them, which equals 11th place, second to last.
I was more surprised that she was a direct qualifier, to be honest. Like when I listened to the song, it just felt so basic, like so beige. Like sure, she delivered it well. She has good vocals, but I wasn't necessarily enthused by it that much. So I could totally see why juries didn't necessarily go for it, because it was just a ballad. She sang it well, but it didn't really stood out from the rest necessarily.
Yeah, so she was overall 6, by the way, in the televote last night. And keep in mind, the Heats, they don't have juries. It's 100% televote. People will claim it's because of the war in Ukraine that people gave her a sympathy vote. We will never know whether that is true or people liked it. So I thought the same thing. It wasn't my favorite song. I thought it was a little heavy, draggy, old
Yeah.
fake kind of ballad, but people clearly voted for it. So I still was surprised it didn't do better with the juries. It seems like something that they would give a few points to, but clearly they were not. What was your biggest surprise last night, good or bad?
Can I do both? Because I was quite surprised with how well Royals was doing in a jury vote. Like it was going really well for Paul Ray.
Third place.
And yeah, exactly. That was incredibly high. And I was like, okay, I expected it to do well, but third was a bit high. So I expected it like maybe sixth or something like that. And then the televote came around and it was like, Paul Ray, you've got a great amount of total of 1 point. And that
Poor
was
guy.
extremely harsh. So like, I thought both of them would be like a bit closer to the middle for that one. But yeah, that was like the most out there thing of the night, basically, for me.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I would have said the same thing. That was probably the biggest surprise. I knew when I saw, well, Paul Ray's not going to get third with the televoters. I thought he's going to get like 20, 30 points or something like that. Kind of like where Theos fell and all that stuff. But yeah, 1 point, that was a shocker. I thought Theos would do a little better with the televote, actually. He only came in seventh. So decent result, but I thought that one, the running order, and it was just just an energetic song that people often gravitate towards. I thought he would do a little better. He still came fifth overall, but I think at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th with the televoters. So I thought he's going to be in the top 5. So that surprised me a little bit. And I like this comment aimed at me. You must be glad that Cassiopeia won a little bit this year. I know she deserved so much more last year. Yes. So I just was very happy. I still sing that song.
It was my favorite last year.
Me too. In hindsight, it is. It was.
Good.
Only one I still play, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was doing major, I call it spring cleaning downstairs, and I think I had that song on like 3 times in a row. Just like I literally couldn't get enough of it. And so yeah, I'm glad that she gets to do this. Even though I still would have preferred last year's effort, but I understand. This is Loreen's moment. Any questions about Melodifestivalen? Let us know in the chat at ESC United. And I will put them on there. I have to point this out as a Swede. I really don't like the voting system we use with age categories. What are your thoughts on it? It is questionable to me as well. Would love to hear from you as well, Roy. Mostly because, as said before, who votes at age 3 on an app for the best song? You can barely, you cannot properly even articulate a thought at age 3. So I don't understand how they can have a bucket. And oftentimes the 3 to 9 and then 10 to 17 bucket, they have a pretty strong say. And then they drag songs that are maybe a little bit less kids friendly down. Like Tennessee Tears heavily suffered from it. Nordman probably would suffer from it, that kind of stuff, right? So I understand you cannot not represent them, but it seems very random to have a 3 to 9-year-old bucket. Overall, I don't know if it's needed by age, but I understand where they're coming from. I'm torn on this. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think definitely they should combine that age, like 17 or younger would be my ideal world, because then you still have the opinion of the youth of Sweden, but then it's not 3 to 9, which is a bit like, I don't know if that's really what you want to have. On the other hand, though, you also have like the old spectrum, and you also have a televote, and mostly the older people will vote in the televote as well.
Yes.
So it kind of balances out a little bit in that way. I do kind of like it, though, the age difference, because you can all vote for the song and you really have a good opinion what Sweden in its total wants. Because for students, it might be a bit too expensive to vote, for example, or older people might not really care as much. And now everyone kind of gets a little bit of a say in what they send to Eurovision. So in a way, I quite like it.
Yeah. Although it also opens up, I would think, ability to I can just pretend to be 5 years old. Right. I'm like, because I'd rather get, my favorite song. And just like, you just have to take my word for it. I'm really 5 years old, like, how would you know? So it is, so I understand the concept of it, but yeah, it is a little different, I guess. But it has made a big difference, because there's certain songs that get a lot of votes, because younger people, even though they may have money, but they're often just the parents pay, right? And they just keep voting. And then, like, people that are a little older, they vote like, okay, I vote once, and then they're being completely overlooked. And it is different. Although I could not see that being implemented anytime soon at Eurovision. I think the technology isn't there, especially all over the continent. That would be a little crazy, even though they're trying to move Eurovision a little bit into the Melodifestivalen lane, it seems a little bit. So I would love to hear from everyone in the chat as well. Where do you think...
Is it a qualifier is always your question, Matt?
Yeah.
Ask the same question for every country, okay?
Okay, let's see. I'm going to post a poll. Where will Loreen end up in the finals?
Non-qualifier.
First, second, third,
I kind of hate this. Like, we all like treat it that
Here
it
you
will
go,
do
people.
so well.
Vote in the chat. I'd love to hear from you what you think.
It's starting to feel a bit like it's Loreen and the other bunch, and that's a bit annoying, perhaps.
I know. That's why I didn't even bother with the... But do you think at this point, if you had to vote in that poll, you would put her as the first right now?
I would put it at other.
Other, not even the top 3?
Wait, where did Spain get last year? I'll
Spain
say
get
they'll
third.
get... Yeah, so third then.
Yeah. So as of right now, we got over 100 votes in already. First, only 39% think it's going to win. 22 think it'll be second. 21%, well, now 20 in third, and 19% agree with you, Roy.
Okay.
At this point, I would be shocked if Loreen would not be in the top 3. I am between second and third right now. No, actually, you know what? I may be first as well, only because I'm looking at the other songs and think, let me ask you this then, Roy. Who do you think could beat Loreen at this point? Who do you think could be on top?
It's a very televote heavy year, I feel. And I can see Finland winning that, the televote.
Yeah, I agree.
And then like getting 5th or something, or 4th in the juries. The question is, how big will the difference be? I think Norway is kind of the happy medium of the two. I think they will get high in both of them. So perhaps one of those countries could be there, but it's just Scandinavia, to be honest, that I'm really thinking about.
Finland is not Scandinavia. Now you messed it up.
Sorry, everyone.
Nordic countries. Oh man. No.
It was a nice night. Goodbye, guys.
So yeah, that is I actually agree with you. I think that people should not sleep on Norway. I do think that Norway has also a big potential to potentially beat Loreen in the televote. I'm not there in the jury, but if, let's say, Alessandra gets like second or third with the juries and ends up winning the televote, I could see her sneaking through. I'm worried about Finland. I just could... I at this point, I don't know how... Finland needs at least 175 to 200 points from the juries, right, to have a reasonable shot at winning. If it's completely upside down, sure, you can still win with less, but for the most part, you would at least 180 points or something like that from the juries. I'm trying to envision where this could happen. So at this point, I do think that it is Sweden, but maybe Norway. Regardless of that, it'll be just as expensive next year, Eurovision, because, these countries ain't cheap. So, but...
I'm still a student. Please help.
I know. Well, maybe Armenia comes along and he's like, here's the winner.
Georgia.
Or Georgia. You're absolutely right. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. So any other questions about Sweden, let me know at ESC United. I wouldn't lose sleep if Loreen won ESC, but if she got Sweden on par with Ireland, both with total wins and 2-time winner, the Swedish media circle jerk, who had no survivors. Oh, God, I will. But then, to be fair, well earned, right? Because they're clearly doing something right. You cannot fault them for being successful.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have found a formula that works for them. Like, they always get great results in Eurovision. Like, they win quite a lot of times. Yeah, they won 2 times quite recently. And, like, every single time they make the final. And they always get great results ever since they really amped up the production value in Melodifestivalen. So it's working for them. So why should they change it?
Okay. And we'll come back to Sweden as well at the very end. We just want to talk a little bit about the other topics that we have. And feel free to chime in. We had another show yesterday that was conveniently delayed 2 hours after Melodifestivalen started. Festival de Canção in Portugal. After 2 semis, we also had a final. And before I even go further into this, I think we just should take a quick look at the recap, so to remind you who was in the running.
Great idea.
In playground time, our first kiss outside, wishing you good night over the phone. Our first fight, saying I love you like we didn't even
Esperança e consolação, refugiar-me em ti em toda a tribulação, evocar-te do fundo da minha alma, esperar e pedir a paciência para me acompanhar. Eu já deixei.
ficar sem, escondido se me queres levar também.
Sei que eu sei lá, e te fazer amor para mim assim não dá, porque parece que nem sou mais eu. Ai, coração, ai, coração. I don't wanna live in a world full of hate. I'm sick and tired of these war games, it's driving me insane. I don't wanna let me boy.
Construir lar, de onde vem o povo ainda só. Vou-me embora, não pertence a este lugar. Vou-me embora sem vontade de voltar. Vou-me embora, as forças não me deixam
viver o que ainda está para vir, fazer contas com o passado, deixá-lo ir.
There you have it. We had a total of 13 songs in the running. There should have been only 12, but that's some voting issues in the first semi, so an extra song went through. And then the juries voted. They have like regional juries in Portugal. Each region voted, and then the televote was added. And it's always based on the Eurovision kind of voting system. So the winner of the jury vote will get 12 points. The second place would get 10, the third 8, and so on. Same for the televote. Interestingly enough, though, after the juries have voted, we had a tie in first place, and the tiebreaker did not exist. Therefore, both songs with the same score, which was 66 points, got 12 points. And that was Mimicat and Edmundo Inácio. So both got 12 points, and then the next song got 8. That was an interesting decision. And then the televote were added, and once again, they had the same top 2. But ultimately, the winner, they're getting first place from the televoters, was Mimicat with Ai Coração, and therefore wins Festivale da Canção and goes to Eurovision for Portugal at the Eurovision Song Contest 2023, performing in the first semi in the first half. So there you have it. Let me go first here on this one. Those who follow me on Twitter. I'm very like vocal about, who I'm excited about. Of course, I have respect for everyone, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs when Mimicat won. I was over the moon. I'm just obsessed with the song. I think they made a right decision, but I remember during the televote results, there was a technical glitch where they put the 1 point on Mimicat, and I died. Actually, I have a short clip here. I thought that was my least favorite / favorite moment. I think Mimicat's gonna win the televote, right? They're gonna give with the lowest score first, right? Mimicat. Okay, é o Edmundo.
Sete, Inês apenas, fim do mundo. Beijinho, Inês.
1 point.
É isso,
For
vamos.
Mimicat.
Isso mesmo. Isso só
That's a
prova que-
bummer. Wow.
You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
It was like heartbreaking when I saw that. It was like, no, what up, Portugal? But as it turns out, it was a glitch on the screen. The 1 point was supposed to go to someone. I wonder if they accidentally spoiled it. I mean, she's first and she won. I don't know. But yeah, so that would happen. But no, I was stoked about that. And honestly, if it would have been Edmundo, I would have been stoked as well. But you can't help but root for your favorite, and then the next day you're happy with whoever. But overall, Roy, I know the two of us agreed on Twitter. This was just a fantastic lineup overall. Festival de Canção they were just amazing. Right?
I think there's like 2 songs I didn't necessarily enjoy that much. I love this lineup. Like all of them were so strong, and I had Mimicat like 7th in my Portugal song, but I'm really happy that it won because it's like a good song. But I just preferred so many other songs. It was so strong. I was just there listening to the songs. I was also tidying up my room at the same time, to be fair, because I had the time anyway. But I was having a great time. I was just dancing, like vacuuming. Jesus, that's a difficult word. Either way, I was having a great time. Like Portugal this year, so many great songs, barely any misses. Too much sauce was robbed, but oh well.
Get over it. Get over it, Roy. So just based on the final lineup again, it's Festival de Roy. So who would have won in your book? Like if you could have made the choice in the finals.
My favorite was You Can't Win Charlie Brown with Contraste Mudo. I think that song is just, there's something magical to it. Like it's just very simple, very delicate, very fragile nearly. And it just makes you want to wander off into the world and just explore places, go through the city, or just walk in like between some hills, and you come at like some viewpoint and you see like an eagle flying. That's exactly what I picture with this song, and I just really, really like it.
Interesting enough, I thought it would struggle with the juries, but I think a lot of televoters would like it, and then it was the opposite. The juries actually supported way more because it got 0 points from the televoters, so that was definitely a surprise to me. And I want to also highlight this comment from Collins. Portugal sending a happy song for once after so many slow songs. It's been so many years. Was it 2014 the last time they had like a fun upbeat song? I can't remember anything in between. They were mostly just heavy, melancholic, sad. And, nothing wrong with that. I love them. Portugal is so good at it. But it was certainly something that I was super excited about, that they're finally going with something a little bit more just like uplifting. And people saying Soothie, yes, in 2014. Conan in 2019 was not a cheerful song. It was maybe slow.
It was up tempo,
it was
not uplifting necessarily.
Yeah, even up tempo is, not. It's a very unique style, so, but I wouldn't go with like upbeat fun for sure. So Mimicat was my clear favorite, so I don't have to share my favorite. I would have picked Edmundo as the second one, so I'm glad that in the televoters. Is that one that surprised you? To me, I didn't think I was going to like Claudia as much, but for some reason her energy, her whole feel, I just kept singing that song. Even though it was so repetitive, I thought it was very well done, and I do think that Turkey deserved more credit. I like that song as well. It was fairly simple, but it was just a very pleasant song to my ears. Anybody else?
I'd hope that Sal would do a bit better with Viver. Like, it was the final song of the lineup. I thought it just was quite catchy, and it's like, I know, another band, but I just quite enjoyed it, and I thought more people would like it as well, especially the televote. Like, I could see the jury's like ranking it a little bit lower, but I expected a bit more for Sal, to be honest. Same kind of with Voodoo Marmalade, although they did get quite a nice televote score. But
it did get, got 7 points, but the juries gave it 0. So I was not happy with that either. So I agree with that. I will start a poll. I will not, but I think I know the answer. But will Portugal qualify from the semi? Now, keep in mind, they're in the first semi, and it's a strong semi, and it has a lot of upbeat songs. But is she standing out enough? Yes or no? Roy, you go first.
It's a tough one, isn't it? We still need to get Azerbaijan, and I'm quite interested to see what they'll do. I think that might stand out quite a lot. I think it might hurt Portugal quite a lot that they're in the first half, especially when there's already quite a lot of up-tempo songs around her as well. She is a solo artist, which will help as well in the first half. It's a bit difficult, but I will say yes as of right now.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I'm definitely on the yes side as well. You raised valid points about the competitiveness of the semi, the first half, and there are a lot of upbeat songs. Like looking at the, I posted something on Twitter as well about who will open, the semis based on, their. Most of the songs have potential to be openers actually, but it's Alessandra and Mimica, the two female artists that could potentially stand out in the first half between all the guys. So that could certainly work in her favor as well. And I will give her that as well. Whether you like the song or you're not quite as smitten with it, it has a different feel. It's not just like a pop song. It's almost like cabaret kind of, style. So I think it'll stand out a little bit. So I think it has its place that it'll stand out from the rest of the pack.
And just charismatic as well. Like, incredibly charismatic.
And here are the results. 77% of the people say yes, Portugal will qualify. So do you think there is a chance that Mimicat could open the show, or that's not an opener?
No. I think they'll put one of the bands first, just because, one, I think a lot of them will want to go for a real band staging where they have all the instruments. So it's quite handy to have that at the start of the show, to have all of the, the drum kit out there, the electric guitar, or whatever they want to do. And if, like, a lot of people say, oh, you predict 2 bands after each other. If you don't predict like 2 bands after each other, it will be band, solo, band, solo, band, solo, band. So it would already then, by default, not be the opener. I think it would be 4th slot is what I would predict at the moment. I did a little prediction on Twitter, I think, earlier.
Yeah, I saw you retweeted me, requoted me. So I'm like, yay, thanks for the promo. But I do agree with you on that as well. I could see Portugal being like 4th or something like that. Because they're not really like super slow songs in the first half. I think you could say Latvia is the most relaxing one, and but you can only put them somewhere.
I think they're def slotting Latvia
again, second year in a row.
Yeah, it's just out of all of the songs, that one feels the most def slotty to me, and I quite enjoy it. So.
But 2 years in a row, I would be mad if they would.
True, but who else do you put there? They're not going to put Croatia there because they'll want to bury the song probably.
To be fair, it's less death slotty in the semis. Do you know what I mean? It's in the finals. It is. And
statistically, it's actually not the death slot. People just pretend it is, but the 3rd slot is the actual death slot.
It is true. Plus, it's different when you look at the finals and the semis. That's also different stories, I wouldn't worry too much about the running order. Often it's also perception by the producers. And sometimes I do have to kind of switch up the styles. That's why Latvia alone, just based on the song genre, could potentially be the second or third of the night. I don't think they will be second because they have so many upbeat songs. I think Latvia could be third actually of the night, but that is
So the actual death slot.
the actual death slot. Yeah. Well, they're like, at least you're not second this time.
True.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. We have a few more ballady, slower songs in the second half with Netherlands and Switzerland. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty happy, upbeat semi. So they're all just gonna battle it out. Would they put Latvia in the death slot after doing it so last year too? That's what we were just talking about. Roy thinks yes. I'm like, I can't do that. But then again, remember Albania? They put them in the finals in the second slot 2 years in a row. I was like, that is just mean. That is just not cool. I'd be so mad. Yeah, and one thing is it's more important who surrounds you in the semis. That's a good point as well. I said, in the semis, it's not quite as important. Your running order is really like who are you up against and can you stand out? Yeah, and that's why I said I'm feeling really good about Portugal, even though we have a lot of upbeat songs. It's just its own style.
It stands out.
It stands out, even if it's next to something like Norway or who else is pretty. Serbia has also a very different feel, right? You know what I mean? So I think that alone will certainly make Portugal stand out. So our viewers say Portugal will qualify. Roy says it will qualify as of right now. We'll come back to it again in a few weeks and rehearsal start and see how we feel.
Yes.
I feel really good about Portugal chances as well, despite the very competitive nature of it. Portugal will fly through. As a matter of fact, I think Portugal has the potential to do left side of the scoreboard. Potential. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I say potential. So that's where we're at. We're going to talk about Portugal in a moment again as well. Just let's go for the topics of the day real quick. We had, out of nowhere, another song reveal this morning. Well, my morning, because, I'm in California. I woke up and I was like, ding, 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 ding. You get my phone goes crazy. Greece has decided to drop their song on a Sunday, right after the big shows. We already knew it was Victor Vanicos, the 16-year-old singer, barely legal to take part in Eurovision, old enough. The name of the song is What They Say. And of course, we want Greece in the finals. We want everyone in the finals, to be fair. So can we just have a 37 final? But the song is out, and unfortunately, I cannot play the whole song. I can barely play snippets. So I just a very short teaser, and I had to change the pitch. So don't judge me, but here's just a little bit of a taste.
Late August, feet start to shake, heart starts to ache, can't focus. Well, you know what they say, the last souls make sure no one loses the way. Nostalgic, I miss the days when my heart would make it. Well, you know what they say, our souls make sure no one loses their way.
So that's just, again, slight pitch changes and just a few snippets here to give you an idea. Those who haven't listened to it yet, go to the Eurovision channel or to Panic Records website at the channel. They have that song out there. And let's talk this through. Let's start with you, Roy. Your first impression.
Yeah, so right before we were going to go live into this live stream, literally at like 20 before 8 or 7 my time, you were like, oh, by the way, you also need to be familiar with Greece. And I did not film my reaction yet. So I was like, panicking all over the place, need to put my setup ready, my camera ready, and then like record my reaction to it because I hadn't heard it yet because I had like a handball game and stuff. So I did it very quickly, but I'm quite glad that I did because I quite enjoyed the song. I really like how it's like a bit more pacey in the chorus. It's very clap-alongable as well, which is always very good for Eurovision, I think. I also really like how they, after the first chorus, they kind of introduce the bass very slowly. Like it's there very sporadically, and it gets like a bit bigger, and then it explodes towards the second chorus, which is really well done. Very nice little detail that I love they put in there. I really like the song from Greece this year. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very interesting when I listen to it. First of all, the young singer, his enunciation is very interesting, very British. Is he like British Greek, or is he just like enunciating it that way? Because the entire song almost gave me a little bit of a British vibe.
I honestly
right?
don't know. Maybe people in the chat knows that.
Yeah, I was just curious. So, of course, on paper, I miss the Greek ethnic sound. I always wonder from Greece. I understand that they can do that every year. It becomes a little bit predictable, but I haven't done it in a few years. So I'm always like, give me that. But I think they're trying to go away from that as well a little bit. Um, um,
Danish
and
Greek, people are saying.
what? Danish
Danish
Greek.
Greek.
Well, that's a little rando. So nothing Brit there. I will say what I really appreciate about this song, first of all, is that the trend of really well-written lyrics continues here. I think this is a very well-crafted piece from just a content perspective. And I'm just like, it keeps me more interested and rather just having I fly high, so why, goodbye, my, you know? So I
Fire
just
desire.
fire desire. Oh yeah, exactly. It's
Scooter,
just
let's
like,
go.
oh, and nothing wrong. Every once in a while it works, you know, like for
Mhm.
silliness. I'm not saying you cannot do it, but if that's all you do, like it's this one I thought was very well written. It's not like an immediate catchy song in many ways, right? It'll heavily rely on the message and the ultimate presentation of the song. So this will be a feel if done right. And when you get people into that feel, this song could do well. I don't think it'll make big waves in the community, in the Eurovision bubble. It doesn't seem like people will be like, oh, this is a qualifier, this is a winner, because it's not it doesn't have an immediate hook. It is a very stylized song almost, and people will either get it or they won't. But it shouldn't always be the ultimate goal just to please the bubble. I think it's, putting something else forward is great. And I agree with what you're saying. Well, it may not be the immediate, like, this is the song. It's a really good song. And that's just what it is to me. It's just a really good, well-crafted song. And I'm really dying to see what they're going to come up with on the stage in Liverpool, because it's one of those songs. I've been saying that a lot this year, but it feels like it's especially true in 23. The staging will make or break it in the presentation. Because if I don't know how good he's still very young. Not the least experienced singer, interestingly enough, but certainly not, on a big stage like that. That is a very different feel. So I feel pretty good about it. And any questions in the chat or state, I would love to hear from you all what your thoughts are on Greece at ESC United in the chat. Greece will qualify no matter the song. Well, I agree already with that statement, but we'll go into a second. They have Cyprus, Albania, Armenia, Georgia, and Denmark. He's Danish, and Belgium and Australia give points to them too. Okay, if adding that one, that's a little bit more of a caveat. Do you think that is because Greece doesn't qualify by default, right? We've seen them flop before in the televote and with the jury, so they're not guaranteed. But what this user is saying is they have a lot of support based on traditional voting patterns in the semi. Do you think there is merit to this?
I mean, I don't necessarily think this song sounds like something necessarily those countries would love. I think Denmark would be one of the countries that would love this song. I just think in general, Greece often sends quite a good song to Eurovision. And I think that's also why they have such a good track record. It's not just your neighbors. Like, that's not how you're going to win Eurovision or how you're going to qualify immediately. And it's really funny how, like, both Greece and Cyprus go for more of a slow route this year. Like, usually they're like the uns happy banger song countries. And then this year they're both like ballad. I mean, is this a ballad? Probably is.
Yeah, certainly on the slower side. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
I expect Greece to do way better than the fandom thinks. It's exactly the kind of song that fandom won't root for.
Exactly.
Because it's not like a snatch your wig kind of song. It's really just more like depth to it. And I'm not trying to poo-poo on like other songs that have a different mission, and like a different field they're going for. But as I point out, these songs often get overlooked. Again, I'm not confident, but I'm not also discouraged. And Greece is in the second semi, which a lot of people say it's a little bit more open. Is that fair to say, Roy? Do you agree?
I definitely think so. When trying to predict it already, it was like quite difficult already. And I think also Greece, this type of song, the juries often like quite a lot. But also I think a lot of locals, people who are not necessarily in the bubble, will appreciate this type of song as well. So I think Greece has got quite some material here. It just depends on the live performance. It depends on how the staging is, like you said, and how they will convey the message. But I think Greece can end up in a very good finishing position this year.
Yeah. And now it's the moment of truth. Here is the poll, y'all.
Ooh.
Is Greece going to qualify from semi to? We still have two songs out that we don't know, Armenia and Georgia, and both could really throw a wrench into my prediction here right now.
Mhm.
At this point, I'm 50-50 on Greece.
Oh,
I'm 50-50. But I will
Interesting.
say yes. How about you, Roy?
I think definitely.
So you're
I'm not
more
50
confident.
Yeah, I think like 80% sure that Greece will qualify with this song.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, his inexperience is the biggest doubt in my mind because we've often seen that a few younger singers who aren't as experienced can't maybe fully cope with all of the things that Eurovision throws at you. That's quite difficult. And maybe vocally it will be a little bit more shaky because of that. But other than that, I think this is a very solid song. And yeah, I think it got good chances.
Yeah, and I see that while it's certainly not a landslide, as of right now, the poll is 60-40.
Oh,
So it is leaning
that could-
in yes.
that could also be like we kind of say that this is not the type of song that the fandom will necessarily love or eat up. So who knows?
Our audience is still well more enlightened. That's
Our
what I would
audience
say
is
there.
fantastic. Definitely.
Yes, they get it. They get it. So yeah, we got over 100 votes in. So that's just it's 57% now. That's how the poll
Wow.
ended. Say yes, it will qualify. So it's not a certain qualifier based on our predictions. Again, we'll do that again once the rehearsals. We know all of that stuff, and we have all of the songs. Any other questions or thoughts about Greece in the chat? Let's talk this through at ESC United.
Yes.
Is a Greek strategy going forward to pick songs with Nordic backgrounds? So are they the next Azerbaijan, Roy? Although Azerbaijan are going a different route, but anyways, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know to be honest, but it is quite a nice convenience that, or like coincidence, moreover, that they have like a Greek Norwegian girl represent them the first year, and then now a Danish Greek guy. That's quite funny. I don't know, and also like the year before they had it from the Netherlands, so like that's not
Oh
necessarily
yeah, that's
Nordic.
true. Yeah,
But
that
maybe
is-
they do find artists.
it's
that, like,
Nordic
have a
compared to where
double-
they are. So I guess you know.
I mean, then definitely that's a true statement because there's not many countries that go southern
No,
of Greece.
It's gonna be in Africa at that point. That
Morocco
is-
return?
Oh, that would be. Don't get me excited. Don't do that, Roy. Don't.
I'm sorry.
One other statement here by Sina. There are too many televote heavy songs this year, so it will be split, and Loreen will landslide the jury. Oh, I thought it was in regards to Greece. We'll talk about that in just a little bit as well. Do you think that's a fair statement, though, that there are a lot of televote friendly songs, and not because now that we don't have juries? I don't think people select the songs in their minds about that, though. I don't think that is.
No, definitely not. But yeah, there have been quite a lot of televote songs, but also usually the internal selected songs are more towards the jury side of things. So we are also slowly getting quite a lot of jury songs as well. So it is still quite balanced, I would say. But there is quite a lot of songs that will bank a bit on the televote.
Mm-hmm. All right, and we can come back to Greece again in just a moment. We have a few more topics. Even though we don't have any songs to discuss, we want to talk about what's yet to come because we have 34 out of 7 entries so far. That means, do your math, Roy. 37 minus 34.
37, 34.
Put up to them. 3. So we have 3 songs that are still in. And Roy, tell us, who is still missing?
We got Armenia, Azerbaijan, and what's the other country?
Oh,
I never talk about them. Oh,
it's not that
Georgia.
flag behind you, is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's Georgia. So those 3 countries, although we have all the 3 names out. So for Armenia, we know we're going to have Burnett. The name of the song is Future Lover. She is going to perform in the second semi. Also in the second semifinal is Ero from Georgia. We don't have a song title yet, so that'll come as a surprise. And then in the first semi, Azerbaijan, Turanex, I think it's how the name of the band. The duo. Tell Me More, the 2 twins. Those are the songs. Armenia song I know will be released on the 15th, so in about 3 days. So Is there one in particular that you're excited about based on your comedic skip there? I would think Georgia.
Yeah, I'm very excited about Azerbaijan, actually. I think it could be really interesting to see how they take the different route of not having like a Swedish writer anymore. And they really wanted to have Azerbaijani people write the song. So I actually am genuinely excited about Azerbaijan, even though like I say it a bit like in a jokey way, because of course I like Georgia quite a lot. But Georgia as well, because they have the songwriters that also wrote the songs with which they won Junior Eurovision. So
Yeah,
that's quite
love
exciting.
it.
I looked at Brunette as well. She's got some cool songs and some interesting styles. So I'm excited for all three of them, if I'm honest. Like, I don't
I
think
know
we
it
could
sounds like
have
a
three happy
politically correct
hitters.
answer, but I
I
am actually
know.
the same way. I am exactly excited for the exact same reason you mentioned. The fact that Azerbaijan is like, yes, the last few, last year in particular flopped so badly with the televoters. We'll just write something with our team rather than just, trying to get some from Sweden or wherever or Greece to write this for us. I think that this is alone gets me really excited. And based on the act itself, I don't expect it. They are like it's a street musicians basically. That's how you can. So I
Yeah.
don't expect a twerky song. You know what I mean?
No,
I
but it makes
expect
me even more excited because I
yes,
don't know what to expect.
yes. So I expecting more of a acoustic or acoustic adjacent song, very more like that kind of music. And I often, when done right, I gravitate towards that one. And for the same reason you mentioned Georgia, I would love for them to beat their record at Eurovision, which is what place, what position? What's Georgia's best result in terms of positioning? You don't know?
I mean, honestly, I don't know.
I thought you are the Georgia expert.
It must be Sublati, right? Is that the best song for Georgia? No. Oh, Casey Tola. Oh, Carry Me in Your Dreams. I have no idea what position she got, but I love that song.
Carry Me in Your Dreams?
Is that
Georgia?
not the right song? That's not
That's
Georgia.
Albania.
That's Albania.
Oh my god.
It's over. Bye. It was fun. Take the same.
I do apologize to all of my friends here and viewers.
Yeah.
Now come back.
Okay.
It was 9th place. They got 2 9th places in 2010 and 2011. And that has been their best result so far.
To be fair to me, like those kind of statistics are not the type of things I really remember when I think about
It's
Eurovision.
fine. It's fine. I'm really good with numbers. So
yeah, I mean, usually I am as well. I studied maths as well, but I don't know, for some reason. Also, when someone says like, "Oh, what do you think of Italy 1978?" I'm like, I need to look up this.
I mean, that I have to think. I mean, I know some of them, but Italy 78 right now, it's not coming to me either right now. But a lot of them.
Look,
yeah.
I'm not
So
the
that
only
would have.
fraud
But
on
when
the
I
stream.
see the name or I listen to, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
Exactly, that's what.
Yeah.
I
So it's not all of them. I mean, starting like 80s, 90s, getting better and better. But even that stuff is unsubscribed. Thanks, Ruben. Yeah, you messed up, Roy. No, so those other 3 songs we're still waiting on, and yeah, and again, it sounds like a cop-out answer, but I'm genuinely really excited about all 3 entries. Armenia has like a lot of hype to live up to after that song from last year went so viral, and it just shows that you don't have to win or even get like a top 3 result to really have a smash hit around the globe. Snap just became one of the most streamed songs.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful to see. And people hopefully will, an artist, get that idea. If my song is good, even though it may not have the immediate impact I was hoping for, I can still do a lot elsewhere. And it's just a wonderful thing to see, because it was always for the longest time about, can I win? Can I come in second? Can I bring the best result home in the history of my country? That kind of thing. And that thinking hopefully can go away. Just put good music forward, and
you'll do well.
Exactly.
I even heard Armenia's song today in this portal, actually.
Yeah, what song today?
Armenia's song, Snap.
Oh, Snap. Okay, I'm like, okay, I thought this year's song. I'm like, huh?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hear it in the US played really, but it I know that in Europe it is quite out there. Let's talk also, since we talked about these 3 songs, what else is yet to come? Because the next week, even though we only get 3 songs, there's a lot happening in the Eurovision /EBU world. The first thing tomorrow, the head of delegations from each country will meet, and people have to hand in their songs. So basically, the song submission deadline is tomorrow, I believe. That does not mean the songs have to be released, but the EBU will know who they are and they're locked in. And at that point, you cannot change it unless maybe there are unique circumstances where the EBU will make an exception. But for the most part, that's it.
I think slight alterations or slight revamps are
Yes,
allowed.
you can revamps, but not the song itself. You cannot change, like, okay, Malta changed last second. We don't want that song anymore. It's too late for that. It would be an exception, God forbid, if something were to happen to the artist, they have an accident, whatever, and they have to replace it. The EBU would not say, well, then you're out of luck. No, they would, of course, accommodate them. But that is what's happening this week. So that's pretty big. That's why all the other things are happening as well. We have, again, the song submissions. And over the next few weeks, we still have a couple of weeks. Early April is when the EBU and BBC will move into the arena to start building the stage. Because even though the rehearsals won't start until the late April, they're going to be in there building the stage, setting everything up. Because what is the time? Was it like 8 weeks you have to reserve the arena for, Roy? Do you remember the exact time frame that we had?
I don't know, to be honest.
I don't. Yeah, I think it's like 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. That you have.
Yeah, they need quite a lot of time.
Which makes sense because it is a big event, and that's why it's often difficult to find an arena, because arenas are often booked years in advance, and maybe arenas could accommodate a 2-week schedule, but not like a 6-week setup there. So that is the issue why we often don't get some of the arenas that we want. Thankfully, in a big country like UK, they have a gazillion options, but this, is something that it becomes a big issue. And then, then in late April, the rehearsals start, and then that's what we're going to look forward to next. So that means now we get to judge all the songs, do our panels, do our predictions, and the shows. The parties are starting. Eurovision in concert in Amsterdam, the Eurovision London party, the party of the Barcelona party, which I'll be there for, by the way. So I'll be in Barcelona in.
Wait, can I get tickets for that?
Yeah, I'm going to be there with Melanie. So we're super excited about that. That's my only. I haven't done that I've never been to Barcelona's party. I've been to Barcelona, but I've been to Eurovision in concert. That's where we met for the first time, right?
Yes.
In Amsterdam for the concert.
In real life, yeah.
A long time.
Also, Melanie, like that was also the first time.
Yeah, that was like when we all came together for the first time.
Yeah.
Sean, you. Long.
I won't be there this year, but
I know. So. Pre-party time. That's always fun. I hope some of you can get to go to some. There's Poland has one. Israel has one. Even Latvia had one. I don't think they have it anymore, do they? I think that.
I haven't heard about it in a long time, but I do remember it was there. But like only a select few countries used to go there. So I guess maybe lack of interest.
Yeah, funding, all that stuff, I'm sure plays a part in this as well. But it's exciting anyway. We have plenty of parties. Barcelona, it's like 3 nights, even though not every night is artists, but it's going to be amazing. And that is what we're excited about.
Yes.
But let's talk about just for one moment, and I would love to hear people in the chat as well. But let's go for the two of us first. Now that the national final season is over, we need to celebrate our fallen heroes. And by that, I mean the songs from national finals that didn't make the cut, and we would have loved to see it. So Roy and I will share 3 songs each, just real quick, who we are going to miss a lot. It has nothing to do with like if we don't like the actual winning song, but this would have been our personal choices. Roy, why don't you pick your first one and why? I don't even know which one you're going to pick, so this is going to be a surprise.
I think I'm going to pick one first because you're also going to pick it. It's from Denmark. It is Søren Torpegaard Lund with Lia Her. That song was magical. It just brought me back to like all the Eurovision songs. It was nice, classical, well sung, well orchestrated. Just very, very, very good. And Denmark missed a bit of an opportunity there, perhaps.
Yeah, I actually did not put it in. But it's funny that you say that because I had 4 songs I chose from, and I had to eliminate one, and it was Ligge Her. But it was my favorite that as well. So I would have loved for that one to go through. Thank you, by the way, here, real quick, for supporting us here. That was a big super chat. We really appreciate it because, we don't even have a room yet. Our
No.
entire team in Liverpool. We're trying to figure out where
still
can we
looking.
go. We're still looking. It is so hard and it's thousands and thousands of dollars. So supporting us really helps to just recover the costs, especially with the EBU really trying us to not recover the costs. But one of the songs that I chose, and I just mentioned it earlier, is Smash Into Pieces, because it's just on my playlist from Sweden every single day. It's like one of my highlights this year, and I had to put it in there. I'm sad you're not there. I knew it wasn't going to happen anyways. So I'm so thankful that Sweden has shown us that this kind of music can do well. It can. So it's my kind of music. The 2000s are very dear to my heart, and I get a little bit retro vibe from that song. So another song, Roy, who's another song that you chose?
It's a difficult choice, but the second one I will really, really miss is from Estonia. It is Melik with Toujours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really like it. It's very sarcastic, very fun, and I just really love listening to it. Whenever it comes on my playlist, I just go, Toujours, Toujours. Do you know what I mean? Toujours, Toujours. Like, you cannot not move to it. And like when I'm driving on my bicycle, I know, very Dutch. It's just always fun when it comes on, and I just can't get enough of it. So Toujours, I'll definitely miss this year.
I am going to miss Jan and Gladiator from Poland. I know I'm opening wounds again that I probably shouldn't be opening right now, but it's a reality. I was just addicted to that song, and we know what happened, but I will miss it. I will miss it dearly, and my playlist will not miss it because I keep playing it over and over. But in terms of Eurovision, Jan, you will be missed dearly. And everybody in the chat now at ESC United, give me a song or two that you like as well while we're doing our last ones. Roy?
Yes.
Your third
Good
and final
idea.
one?
I mean, I want to make an honorable mention to like the entire selection from Finland, because boy, those songs were good.
Yeah.
But I couldn't really pick one out of them because I prefer Cha 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 out of all of them.
I know, that's why I didn't pick one either.
Exactly. I love the entire selection though. But what I would have picked is from Italy. And also there were quite a lot of good songs, like Madame was great. I really loved Lazza. I really loved La Pesce di Martino. I know, but the one I'm picking is from Rosa Chemical, Made in Italy. Another song that is so fun. It's very danceable. It's like, dun, 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 Made in Italy. Da, da, made in Italy. It's just really, really fun. And I nearly wish it went to Eurovision, because Rosa Chemical was such an eccentric performer as well. I would have loved to see that on the stage, especially after like San Marino last year too. That was also such an eccentric performer. Yeah, Rosa Chemical, Made in Italy is my final pick.
All right, and my third and final one was, I'm also actually going to pick Estonia, but I'm picking Ollie and Venom. I really wanted the runner-up to be the winner. I remember watching Estonia, and I loved 2 out of 3 songs in the super final, and then neither of those actually made it. So I'm still kind of sad, but that's just how the cookie crumbled. And
we'll give each other a hug in Liverpool.
I know, we need that. So those would have been my choices. Let me see now some people in the chat. Thank you so much, first of all, for ESC Dakota for this super chat. Pouring one out for Jan. Ruta Moore. See, Agni, I had one as well, but I feel like Blanca has a great song, so I couldn't be too upset about it.
Yes. Oi Sound System. So much
Oi
taste. I should have used that one. I love that one.
Megara, I loved as well. So that's so many good songs, but it's, at least I cannot be upset with Spain because I still picked a good song. But those are some really good choices as well. Come on. Here we go. Sabrina, I will miss Ulrike for sure, since there isn't any ballad that grabs my attention. No pun intended, I'm sure. I see what you did there. Like Seated, ESC United. I know there are a lot of people. Ulrike was certainly a bubble favorite. I mean, so was Alessandra, though. It was between those, so I can totally see. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be upset about that one. Jelly saying Freya Gold. Where's she from again? Oh, was she from Germany, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Germany. Yeah, I had to think that for a second. Oceanside for Belgium. Is that the Tom Dice band?
Yeah, but like the one they didn't pick for the final. So like they had 2 songs and they had to pick one of the 2, and everyone advised them go for Oceanside, and they picked the other one. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, and then Povo for Portugal. So yeah, those are, and it's every year, and that's why I always say, don't just. I mean, yes, it's sad, but we'd rather have national finals where your favorites don't make, rather than just everyone picking a turn. You never get to experience that song in the first place, and the music continues to exist even outside of Eurovision. So,
And for people who love like gems from national final season, I am planning to make a little video like counting down my top probably 50 national final songs of this year. So subscribe
yeah,
to my
Roy
channel as
PM,
well.
Roy PM, YouTube
Just a
channel.
little plug in there.
Yeah, it's a really sucky channel, but subscribe.
Yeah, it's terrible. Terrible
Yeah.
opinions.
Okay, Icke Hüftgold would have been such a funny reaction, jokes aside. Oh God, could you imagine? Germany would have. Oh God, jokes aside, hoping that Sweden can produce a really good Swedish song next year. Are you implying they don't have a really good Swedish song this year? I would argue that a lot of people love that song, but I know, again, we had the discussion.
Maybe I mean it is like in Swedish, like in the language of
Sweden. In the Swedish, it's not. I think that's a cute thought, super cute, but it's not going to happen.
They were close recently. Like for Behöver inte dig dog got like second or third, I believe.
Bless you. Like I'm supposed to know what that is. What song was that?
It was like the girl went through Andra Chansen.
Oh, the one with the girl.
Yeah, it was like,
but the problem is the juries, the international juries. Even when a song gets like third or so in the televote, the juries don't put it high enough to give it a chance, and that's the problem. I can see the televote picking one. I could say absolutely the televote, but I don't think the juries will allow it. And then was Clara, not Hammarström. She was Klingenström. That's what was her name. I always mix them up because they're so close. So yeah, those are some of the songs, and yes, I will have to go from all, but those few stood out, and there are a bunch of them that we would have liked. We're gonna open up now in just a second the open Q&A session. So let's talk anything Eurovision. I know that over the past week, besides the national finals, I think the only big item news that truly happened were the ticket sale. That we talked about, that finally, after such a long time, went out, and then that went a little south, I think it's fair to say, with Ticketmaster issues that gave us, especially here in the US, a flashback to the whole Taylor Swift debacle. And that's why Eurovision actually once again made news here in the US. Because of the ticket, because people really are angry at Ticketmaster here and Live Nation. They merged, and that was the worst merger probably ever because they have so much power together. Because Live Nation basically collaborates with certain arenas, and then they tell the arenas, you can only use Ticketmaster if you want to do this, if you want us to give us this concert. And then, there is this crazy monopoly, and that merger should have never been approved. But I don't think even the government here in the US realized how powerful they would be. And now they're looking even into potentially breaking up these two companies. So that is going to be an interesting thing. But yeah, a lot of people, the point is, didn't get tickets. They either... A lot of them got like a error message, or they were in the queue and got kicked out. And apparently we see all these tickets, and it happens all the time, but it seems like especially this year, a lot of scalpers got the tickets, and they're selling them for £10,000 and all that stuff. So a lot of people were upset. I couldn't care less. I don't buy tickets anymore. But Roy, I think you guys tried to get some tickets, and you were unsuccessful too, right?
Yeah, last year Sean reached out to the team, basically like, oh, I might want to try to go to the family show. Who wants to join us? And then me and Melanie joined him, and we went to
later on, right? Like it was like at the end, like the tickets were still available at that point, right?
Yeah. Like it was not even necessarily in like I think we did enter the queue immediately, but like it was very laid back. We kind of decided it last minute. And we got tickets quite easily because I think I got through the queue and Sean did as well. Eventually, Sean bought them and stuff. But we tried again this year, and Connor wanted to come along as well this time around. It just like Connor got through the queue 3 times, and then he wanted to select the tickets we wanted. We wanted the semifinal one, jury, and not jury, a family show.
The afternoon show.
The second semifinal as well, because that's what we did last year. He got through the queue 3 times, and then when he wanted to select something, it didn't let him select anything. So then Melanie tried as well, and the same happened for her as well. It's really weird because it just didn't let us select anything. But to be honest, for me, it would have been like a nice bonus. Like I would have gone to Liverpool anyway, and there will be a lot of things to do. And like we as a team will meet up, and that'll be crazy fun. And like the atmosphere in the city will be good. And with Eurovision Village, so if you don't have tickets, it's not the end of the world, and it would be more like a crown on top of it for me. But it is a bit of a mess, and that's just unfortunate, especially when you have like those people selling them for way over the prices that they should go for, which is they kind of prevented it last 2 years when they had to personalize the tickets.
Yeah, why didn't they do it this year? First of all, why didn't they personalize the tickets, especially knowing they chose a smaller arena in a country that hasn't won in a long time with a huge demand? I knew it was going to. We all sat down. Well, let's watch and let them fight, because we knew it was going to be bad. I didn't expect it to be this bad because every ticket sold out within 36 minutes. And once again, those family shows usually are still available during rehearsal time sometimes. Yeah. So the fact that everything sold out, they're certainly underestimated. And yeah, why can't you personalize the tickets? Or why can't you do a ballot? That's what I said on my, I think I said that last week or like on Twitter. Don't judge me, y'all. But I had to do a ballot for a convention in Las Vegas. I wanted to go out to see a Final Fantasy convention because I love Final Fantasy. Ooh. And I didn't get it. It's a bummer, but at least, I had a fair shot at it. Yeah. So something like that should have been done. And now we're having that situation where people are really upset and it made international news. And it's not the good kind of national news that you wanted to make. So,
but I don't think that is necessarily the fault of Ticketmaster, though. I think that's more something that the broadcaster might have said, like, oh, personalizing the tickets is a fun idea. Because I remember when it was in the Netherlands, they specifically said, oh, we're going to do this because else it's going to get out of hand. So maybe BBC forgot to do that this year or something.
Right. No. You're absolutely right. Because people say it's not the BBC's fault, it's Ticketmaster's fault. It's not Ticketmaster's fault, it's BBC's fault. It's layers. The whole personalized thing certainly is one issue that should have been pushed more. I would assume Ticketmaster can do that. It's the whole issue about Ticketmaster's website going down. It's their issue.
Ticketmaster was the same for the Netherlands as well. We had to buy it through Ticketmaster too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they want to personalize, but there were tickets available still. So, and there was during COVID. Oh, well, it was different because COVID, it was like such a limited number of tickets anyways. It was a little different then as well.
True.
Yeah, it was a slightly different story there.
But still, you can personalize it through Ticketmaster because they did it before, I guess.
Yeah, they can. I wasn't sure. Sure if they can. But the point is, EBU, Eurovision has evolved into this massive event where tickets are in high demand. Even like previously, OJE, who got like a lot of tickets, it's very limited now. How many tickets packages they get. Because the demand is so big. It varies by country. I get that. But in general, it's a fair thing to say people will travel to see that. So I think hopefully they'll learn their lesson here from what happened because they cannot go back in time now and take tickets away. But that this has to be addressed because one of the issues is Eurovision has gotten so bad. And a lot of people, praise BBC for how serious they take Eurovision. But there are a few things that you can point out. Maybe they could have done more. Ticket sales. Now, the affordability of Eurovision. Like I've been doing Eurovision for a very, very, very long time. I've never seen this little amount of accommodation available in rooms. I've never. It's terrible. Affordable we don't even know where we're going to stay right now. The city even, like they said, we're going to have. And they've done it before that you cannot raise the prices up to a certain extent. None of that was done, even though they advertised it on Eurovision.tv. We're going to make sure with the city, none of that happened. And they're like, well, you can go to Manchester. Like, where it's just a mess. Yeah. It's like no one can afford Eurovision this year.
I'll bring some tents maybe, but we had a place booked like for quite cheap. I think like 160 or something a night. And then we got a message saying like, it's not available for that week. And we're like, well, we checked, it was available for that week. And then Sean checked back like a few hours later and the same place was back on for like 10 times as much money. Like it was for 1,000 euros a night. And I'm like, do you not want to make any sort of money then at all? Like you're not going to sell that apartment for 1,000 all of a sudden. No. It's just ridiculous.
It is kind of crazy, yeah. So this is unfortunate that it's happening in the UK, where people were so excited, they waited so long, and the excitement is back. And there are, unfortunately, more issues than I'd like to see. Now, people probably defend the BBC and all that stuff. It's all in their hands. To a certain extent, some of the things are. I understand that. But they made that decision to pick an arena that is small, on the smaller side, in a city that maybe may not be small-ish, but it's certainly for UK standards is a little bit on the smaller side as well, for in a big event like that. And the accommodations should have probably been considered in terms of criteria to host it, and that there is a chunk, because Rotterdam even did that to make sure. And now the EBU doesn't even offer hotels. In the past, EBU had like hotel rooms put aside that you can go to the website and book them. None of that exists anymore either as of last year. So there's a lot that is, not working. And at this point, we haven't still booked a room. It looks like we all have to be in Manchester and take an hour train, or like Sean may have a car, but then he cannot drink, So it's you cannot
Very
party.
important.
Yeah, well, you want to have a few drinks or party a little bit.
True.
So we don't even know what we're going to do at this point.
No, I mean, maybe the prices will drop. Like, I always want to look at things in a positive way, but
they would have by now, but they still haven't, and we're only less than 2 months out.
It was so nice last year when Melanie was literally like, "Oh wait, it's very convenient that I have like a gap in my schedule to book a place exactly when the city was announced," and like she booked something within 20 minutes, and we were done for the entire season, and like nothing to worry about. I want to go back to that time. It was a nice apartment too that we had.
Yeah. So we shall see what's going to happen. And now let's open up to open Q&A. What questions do you have? Anything what we talked about? Anything different? And as always, at ES United in the chat. Let's talk this through. First question here. I don't know the answer. Is it the 8th or 9th time UK hosts, by the way? I can't remember the number. I don't know either, because I sometimes hosted it in the past when they didn't even win.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I don't know.
I don't know either.
Hosting stuff, I don't remember even all the hosting cities and all of that stuff. So somebody would have to point that out. Even though we are still missing 3 songs, who do you think will be opener and closer in the semi? So we briefly discussed the potential opener for semi 1. Or did we? No,
we didn't really discuss it.
Oh no, we just talked about Portugal in terms of where they could end up. I talked on Twitter about it. So one of my guesses, I think there are 3 possibilities to open: Norway, Malta, and Ireland. To me, I think Norway is just because they do want to have a really liked song opening it. People get excited right away, and Norway would be the perfect energy-wise to do that. That's why I would pick that one. Ireland itself, the feel of the song would be, and the message of the song would be also an ideal opener. I just don't know if they would put it first, because it's not necessarily their most popular song, and they tend to pick songs that are a little bit more on the likable side, whether it's Lithuania 21 and San Marino 21, the big names. Who do you think, Roy?
My money is on Ireland. Like, it makes the most sense. It's quite an uplifting, up-tempo song. It gets the mood going of the show. It's like, we are one, it just like some nice togetherness, especially because it is the first semi-final as well. And with the message and the theme of the entire show, I think Ireland makes so much sense. And it's a band as well, who already had like their entire band kit on the stage as well in the national final. So I think Ireland just makes the most sense. And I think Malta would be the other option.
Yeah. I can agree.
But I think
that.
Malta had less of a band setup in the national final. I could be wrong on that though.
Yeah, no, that's true. Now, how about the second semi? Now, we don't know Armenia song by Brunette.
What about Closer though?
Oh, Closer. Sweden.
Would they have it close in the semi-final?
Why not? The other option would be Finland. That's too wild, too close. Maybe Israel.
Yeah,
could be a closer.
I was thinking Moldova. I'm not thinking Moldova anymore.
I think it is
Sweden.
too. They tend to. I mean, and there will be exceptions, of course, and I have to look at, but they tend to go with more pop, like mainstream sound. And Moldova is not mainstream enough, I think. To
No,
be
exactly. That's why I was thinking in the same sentence, like maybe actually not.
Yeah, I don't think Czech Republic will close it.
No chance.
Netherlands will not close it.
No.
Switzerland will not
neither.
close it. So that's why Sweden, Israel, and Finland is too wild to be a closer. But I think, Finland get like the third to last or something like that. I think it'll be Israel or Sweden.
Yeah. I think, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe Sweden.
Sweden. Okay. How about who will open the second semi? We don't know Armenia. This is a toughy one because the first semi has all these upbeat songs. This is a slower first half. So if Armenia brings a little bit more of a fun banger, I could see Armenia opening it. I don't see like an opening quality song in the first half. Belgium would be the next one, I could think.
Because of you. Or Power.
Power, yeah, but it's a little bit too
empty, maybe.
Empty sounds like it's a negative word, but it's a little bit more of a not chill, but it's certainly not they want to get a song that get people pumped, right?
Well, let's put Romania at number 1 then. Let's do it.
Could be. So I think at this point, depending on what Armenia could be one. What do you think? Belgium?
Yeah, we will have to wait for Armenia what exactly it will be, because that's the one. I don't see Denmark doing it. I don't see them opening with any of the ballads either. Maybe Greece would be the ballad that out of them I would pick for that. I don't see them opening with Denmark. I already said that. Belgium feels like somewhere in the middle, moreover. It doesn't feel like an opener.
Yeah.
Difficult. I think it's Armenia, but we don't know the song yet.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. How about closing? I could see Austria will not close, but they will be also again like 15th or something like that. They're going to put it like 14th, 15th, I'm pretty sure.
I could see Slovenia close.
I was going to say the same thing. Slovenia.
Well, it's my opinion. You pick something different now.
Australia could be a potential closer.
I would love it.
Georgia, we don't know yet. You know,
True.
So
I'd expect more of a ballad, though.
You really think so?
Maybe not actually. No.
It could be mid-tempo songs can close. Like Snap wasn't like that fast, you know, like these. So I could see.
No, and it's like they've shown that they will not necessarily follow one necessarily recipe for it. Because I remember last year it was a bit different as well.
Yeah. Connor John saying Slovenia closing because it's a party song, basically. It is true. It gets people still going, you know.
Slovenia makes a lot of sense.
I think Slovenia makes a lot of sense. Again, we still have the caveat with Georgia. But we shall see. Any other questions?
Closing it out with Joker out.
Joker. Okay. Oh, that is clever. Yeah, no, I can certainly see that. Next question. Blue Zone. Hey, Blue Zone. Big artists like Sam Smith and Rita Ora have been getting behind May. Commercial radio who didn't play Spaceman until after Eurovision are playing it, and she is on London billboards. Well, the first thing is, again, I keep repeating that Eurovision has always, even those 20 years of bad results in UK, immensely popular. A bad results did not deter them. It was shame-based. You would not amaze. It was me like when I was a kid listening to Spice Girls. I would never admit listening to the Spice Girls. That wasn't a cool thing. But I did have those CDs, but no one knew. And now, though, that UK did so well, everyone's coming out of the closet as Eurovision fans. And I think now the radio stations are more comfortable playing that as well. And interestingly enough, Roy, I don't think, because it's a very like pop, Britpop song, which you wouldn't think like Roy would gravitate towards. You don't hate it, huh?
No, I don't. I made a video about it. I was quite positive about the song. And the more I listen to it, the more catchy it gets, and the more I start to enjoy it as well. So yeah, I quite enjoy the song, and it's not necessarily the type of song I usually enjoy, but at the moment it's sitting in 10th on my ranking. So yeah.
Yeah, no, we like. Is it really Australia's last year East United? So to provide context there, Australia's had I think it was 4 or 5 year contract with the EBU, guaranteeing them the participation. This is the last year where that contract is in place. So people are worried that now that the contract expires, that they will disappear. Don't worry, they'll be back next year, because for a little while they got renewed every single year, right? Okay, this year you can come back, this year you can come back, this year you can come back, and they're like, we'll let you 3 or 4 years to get a contract. They're just going to redo it. They're not going to let Australia go.
Especially because a lot of countries have withdrawn in the past couple of years as well. Because we're only at 37 countries, which isn't that much. So they're not going to let Australia go that easily.
And especially with Russia gone,
that too.
Rightfully so, of course, but the point
and
is they did
Australians love it. Like, they love Eurovision. They wake up for it. Like, it's 4 a.m, Eurovision starts. Mental.
Yeah. Okay, please talk. Oh, that comment did not come up. Let's do this again here. Please talk about Austria. Roy, talk about Austria. You hate it, right? He said talk about it, not sing it.
I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. I love it. It's very fun. It's very catchy. I did not expect myself to listen to it to like it. Because I did.
Refuse.
I didn't necessarily hear the leak, but I did see the crystal thingy with like po, and everybody kind of memeing about it, like, oh, this will be terrible. And I thought, it was like, it does sound like something I would enjoy, but then it came out and I was so pleasantly surprised. It is so catchy. It was in my head the entire week, and love it. Austria, good job. Love it.
Yeah. I did when I did my reaction video, my initial reaction was I either going to have it in my first place or it's going to be my dead last. I just couldn't figure it out. Am I just being confused by the sound and the structure of the song? Interesting enough, I was wrong. It's probably right in the middle for me. I actually really like it. It's a good song. I don't know if it'll be at my top of my list, only because there are a few things that I do have issues with. I do like some of the very nifty lyrics. They're in some ways actually quite clever.
They're very smart.
Yeah. It's too short. It's again 2.5 minutes, and I felt it. I'm like, it's over too soon. I felt like it wasn't enough. They should have used the entire time. And the times, the po gets a little on my nerves. That part is actually my least favorite part. But I love all the other parts. I love the verses are amazing, and then the chorus. So it's a little bit of a roller coaster ride for me, but I do actually really like it.
It's going to be interesting as well, because it's quite reliant on text. So whether the live will work out, we'll have to see. But I hope it will work out, because I like it a lot.
Yeah, this is going to be also, I've never said that before, a make or break live performance, because the style, the genre is very difficult to pull off live, right? It's not the same as Austria last year, but it is adjacent. It's very electric sound and all of that stuff. So it can get really, really tricky, and that makes me a little nervous. But I'm hearing that they're good live vocalists, so I'm a little bit more hopeful about that.
Yeah. Somebody was saying in the chat that earlier this week, somebody announced, like Kosovo announced basically their rendition of Festivali Kungas.
Yes.
Would you think Kosovo could debut in the near future, or is that a bit too touchy?
I mean, the EBU, they don't have a full membership yet. That's the problem, right? They can have as many concerts and festivals that they want until the cows come home. But if they're not a full member, there's nothing they can do. Once they become a full member and the vote goes through, then yes. So, and if they get in, they will be there immediately. So maybe it's just like they're getting an indicator that that they will be allowed in. It's a touchy subject, for not for most countries, but for some, obviously. So I think the EBU is trying to kind of stay a little, away from it, but you can't. At some point, you have to make a decision, yes or no. So we shall see. But I'd love to have him there, because again, I mean, there are quite a lot of people in Kosovo. Like we're almost talking about 1.8 million or something like that. It would not even be close to the smallest country. So
the more the merrier, to be honest.
Yep, especially with only 37 countries taking part. Anyway, I brought this question up. Sina, there are quite a few jury songs as well, but TBH, most of them are not good. I could see the jury like Loreen, Blanca, and Alessandra in France, but many are meh. To add on to that statement, Roy, Is there a song in particular or a couple of songs that scream jury pleaser to you?
Let me
I
get
will
the
say, actually,
list.
while you're thinking, that
Mhm.
takes a long time. I can
Sorry.
actually see what echo that. I think Sweden has a huge jury pleasing feel to it. France, if done right, could do really well. I could see actually Spain being quite popular with the juries as well this year.
Estonia.
Estonia, that's another one. Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah.
That could be, and then of course we don't have 3 songs. Those are the ones that stand out to me the most.
You
And
also
then
still have Italy. Like Italy is just a solid Italian ballad. Like it's not necessarily wowing me, but it will definitely get some good votes from the jury vote.
Italy
I
frequently
think.
though has underperformed with the juries for some reason. Especially
Really?
look at even like when they won 4th place, when they in
True, but none
2018.
of those really sound like jury kind of songs, to be honest.
Jury? Oh, jury. Sorry, I thought
Jury, yeah. No.
not jury. That's true, but 2018 was some of the mid-tempo slow songs. That kind of didn't do well.
Mhm.
I mean, they got robbed in 2015. Again, that's not a bad ballad. So there are plenty of opportunities where the juries downgraded Italy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen this time around. So it's always like sometimes the juries are less predictable. Sometimes some songs seem predictable jury pleasers, but then for some reason they pick this one random song you just didn't expect
Yeah.
them going for.
I remember in 2018, nobody expected Austria to be the jury
No.
winner. North Macedonia with Proud, nobody expected
No.
that to be the jury winner. Like it is quite unpredictable sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. That makes it so fun.
Mhm.
So I really, really enjoyed that. Which withdrawn country do you miss the most and would like to see come back? Can I say all of them, or is that a cop-out?
That's a cop-out.
Okay, let me think. So I would love to have Turkey back just because they bring so much flavor. I know that politically it's just not going to happen, but on
I
paper,
mean, allegedly, it's quite close in the political race at the moment in Turkey.
yeah, but I feel like so jaded by all of this stuff, so I'm just like, it's not going to happen. I'd love to have them back. I'd
Yeah.
love to have them back. I'd love to have some of the been gone for a while countries back. What?
One country. One country.
Oh,
You
just
always
one.
tell me to pick one.
All right. I didn't know. Forgot the exact wording of the question.
No, but
Okay.
continue.
I would have picked like something like Luxembourg. I would love to have them come back.
Ooh.
I know they were talking about it,
Yeah.
and it also feels like this little spot there that is, plus us Germans and Dutch are a little biased because maybe some more likely points for us. It's all strategic. I think that would be a cool country to come back. How about you, Roy? You cannot pick the ones I mentioned.
I wasn't going to anyway, so perfect. I'll definitely say Hungary because I loved Adele so much. Like that was my favorite national selection before it disappeared. I mean, it's still happening.
Isn't she from UK? What? Oh, Adele. I'm sorry. I thought you said Adele.
That's not a national selection. One person.
Yeah, that's why I'm like Adele. Got it.
No, I love Hungary in Eurovision when they participated, but again, politically, it's a bit of a difficult thing at the moment. But I love the music they always put forward. It's always they are not afraid to send something a little bit different, and I always like that quite a lot. And Slovakia is kind of in that same vein as well, so that'll be a cool one too. Yeah.
I'm sad that very few people talk about Italy this year. Every year, I don't get the hype for Italy, while people love it. This year, the exact opposite situation. It's pretty high in the betting odds, and a lot of people like it. It may not get the same hype because we're so used to Italy being like one of the favorites, and I think Italy right now is quite well liked. It's just not to the same extent as in previous years. Therefore, it fell a little short. But keep in mind, I felt a similar vibe back in 2018. People liked it, but weren't like super crazy about it.
Yeah.
And then it came 3rd in the televote and 5th overall. So I wouldn't be too worried about Italy.
No.
How about you think? What do you think, Roy?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they'll have a decent result with this song, but it's not the fanfare or the hype in the fandom that you usually see from them. But I don't think many people hate it either. Like a lot of people appreciate it or like it or even love it. It's just not as vocal as other groups that have different songs that people love, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we can all agree that Sweden is for sure winning the jury this year. I also believe
we can
Spain.
all agree.
Huh?
I always
I
love it
mean,
when
I don't
people
think
say
everyone
we
will
could
agree,
all
but
agree.
I would never say that. I hear what you're saying, though. I think at this point, it's hard. Sweden always gets such high results from the juries, even when you're just like, huh? So and with a song that is actually very popular and really good, I would agree with that. Also, with Spain could flop the televote, as it's a song that grows on you after a few times, but you never know. How do
I
you
can see
feel
that
about
happen.
Spain's odds? Because I know it went super popular in Spain, but the Spanish soul really that people connected with it made a big difference. Could that maybe fall short on the Eurovision stage?
I can totally see that happen. Not necessarily with the, I think it will get some votes from the juries, but with the televote, I have a bit of a doubt whether people will really pick up their phones to vote for this.
Mhm.
Like, sure, we'll get some votes, but there's a lot of good songs that the televote will love. Finland, Norway, Sweden. We have a lot of songs that will get a lot of votes from televote, and a song or a country can only give to 10 countries their votes. So
Yeah.
I could see it struggle a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Or it could really surprise as well. Sometimes the song's just like,
True.
whoa, you have that moment. So, but I think Spine is a
Spine.
little bit of a wild card. And I think it's a great song. I just think, I don't know yet either. I have to get the feel and the vibe and the running order and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
Who from the big five will get the lowest points? I feel they all tried their best this year. I will agree.
Yeah.
Of course, I like some songs better than others, but I don't think none of these countries sent a boo-boo song per se. Who do you think has the potential to get the lowest score?
Including Ukraine, right?
Well, it's that big five, but let's do the finalists. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Let's include them because I think I potentially would pick Ukraine, which would follow their tradition, right? When they qualified, they flop. But I don't think it's a bad song. I just don't think it has as an impactful / competitive entry. So I could see that. But if we put Ukraine aside,
I
it's
think
tough.
I'm going to, yeah, it's really tough because they all bring quite a good song. I would
Mhm.
say the United Kingdom, though, because I fear the most for that live performance feeling a little bit flat because it relies quite a lot on lyrics as well. Like, most of the beat comes from the lyrics that she sings. So if those lyrics are not delivered perfectly, the song will feel a little more flat than compared to other songs. So that's the
Yeah.
big danger with the UK this year.
I sadly would agree, and this is from someone who loves the song. Like, I'm addicted to
Oh,
that
me
song.
too. I have it in my top 10.
Yeah, we both love it, but only because I feel France has a really good chance of doing well with the juries.
Exactly my thoughts.
Germany has a televote appeal that
Mhm.
I don't think they can ignore. Italy, I still think they're going to do well in the televote. In Spain, I think will do well with the juries. With the UK, I could see them doing well with both, but if it's not coming together, flop with both. So, and that's why I would say UK has the potential going really high to really low. I think that could be all over the place. Really comes down, again, make or break live performance. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely. I even think Ukraine has less of a chance to get the lowest score out of those. Like, I think Ukraine will have a fair few voters going for it.
Yeah. You can also bring up, the sympathy vote that people think it still exists, maybe not to the same extent as last year. And this is something very difficult to measure, right?
Yeah.
And but we'll see, because it didn't work in junior, but Eurovision last year happened right when it all went down, of course. So it's a different story here. I want to bring up this question here by Sina. Another song that could flop the televote is Austria. I mean, the average viewer might not understand it fast enough, but the juries could give it some points. Now, once again, Austria going huge in the bubble, right? Can there be a case? Can you make a case where you say this may not translate well on the Eurovision stage and this could actually flop?
Definitely. It's another one of those songs that really relies on the lyrics. And if you have a song that has a lot of lyrics that kind of dictate the rhythm of the song as well, it can be a bit difficult if you don't fully nail it. Like, we've seen it with Romania, for example, with Roxanne. She didn't fully nail it, and the song felt quite flat. And it is a danger. I just hope it doesn't happen because I really like the song quite a lot, but I can see it happen.
Yeah, I do think there's a big, I wouldn't say big chance, but certainly there is a chance that Austria could, again, they're taking a risk. It's a risky choice.
Mhm.
And I'd rather them taking the risky choice, and even if it doesn't pay off in the end, at least I can say we tried something and it didn't work. We'll try
Yeah.
again next year. But one thing we can say for sure, whether they're going to come first in the semi or not qualify, it won't be boring. And I think you want to applaud that. I am definitely excited about Austria, and I hope they get rewarded for taking a chance, because that would be really cool. Plus, they're in the second semi, right? So there are a lot more slower songs in the second semi.
Yeah,
So I think this will be the party anthem. Most overhyped song. I think it is Israel is most overhyped. The lyrics make me die of cringe. I don't know how hyped Israel is, to be fair. I think people just talk about it. I think I get like a super hype about it, except for like diehard Israel fans.
Yeah.
Who do you think is overhyped? I mean, the obvious answer is always Sweden, but that's only because they're the favorites. Therefore, by default, they're the most overhyped one. But I don't even think they are. Go ahead.
I would agree with Israel to an extent. But like in my video, even I was not even disliking the song necessarily. I was just a bit confused. Like it was just a lot. And I just said I needed some time, and yet it's like my most disliked video out of any of the songs, even though I didn't say I hated it or anything, which was really interesting because a lot of people apparently really love it.
Yeah, there's a huge fan base, and I've known that as well because I actually did like it. I did have some criticisms, and of course I got criticized for criticizing some of the aspects of the song. So
how dare you have a different opinion? Like how dare you have fair criticisms about music?
Yeah.
Another one for me is Czech Republic. Or Czechia, sorry. I don't know. I just don't really feel the hype for that one, and I think it might struggle to qualify. Actually,
yeah. So I listened to the studio version. I just did my reaction video like a few days ago.
I told you to do it.
Yeah, that's why I did it. That's why I posted on Twitter like, should I do it or not? And everyone's like, do it. Maxi Rainbow was also very adamant about me, and because I was watching the show, the national final on the side as I was working, and I was like, this is. The entire show was so underwhelming. Like, I don't like any of the songs. Like, Vesna is the favorite. What am I missing here? Then I watched finally, like last week, the studio version, the music video. I'm like, okay, now I get it. I actually really like the haunting harmonies of the song. They really add flavor. I don't think it'll be at my top either. I'm more with agreeing again. I don't necessarily feel as excited about the song as others. Like if I had to pick between last year and this year, I would pick last year's effort. Where are you now?
I was struggling to think of it, but yeah, I definitely prefer
that's
it
not a
too.
good sign. But I also understand why people would love it. I totally get it because it is just a different song, a different vibe. And I, once again, actually want them to qualify because I want to reward daring choices. And it's a little bit out of the box. And I want to applaud them for that. But I am a little bit nervous about that one as well. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I don't know. Something about it just tells me it gives me a little bit of a bad vibe. Like a lot of people love it, but I think it might struggle.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I'm going to say something controversial. I saw some people going to get really pissed in the chat. So forgive me because some people praise that song. One song that I struggled to get into, and I consider it a good song, but I don't click with it, is Estonia this year. Bridges, Alika. I really tried to like the ballad, and I think she sings it so well, and I just cannot emotionally get into it. I'm trying. I was trying. I'm like, I think the Jews will go crazy for it, and I could even see the televoters, but I cannot access it for some reason. The emotion, it leaves me just a little more to desire.
It makes sense. It just it kind of baffles me a little bit that you make a very emotional ballad and then your main word is bridges. Like, what the hell am I supposed to feel when you sing bridges? I know it's not a literal bridge, but
yeah, I know it's
such a random word to use for your ballad. It's like, what?
Yeah,
so
it's not a word that you should sing a lot because it's not like the most melodic word either. Bridge, So it's but that's just me. Let's see more questions. We have a few more minutes at ESC United. There was a rumor weeks ago on a Finnish newspaper where they said jury criteria will change for this year at Eurovision and juries will vote on memorability. What do you think? I thought that was only applicable to the Finnish national final, not the Eurovision juries. Have you heard anything about the Eurovision juries getting changes?
I think it was put there that you should. I think it was for Eurovision that they like kind of rephrased the way the jury should look at the songs, but I don't think it will matter that much because juries will just pick whatever they like the most, and they'll still look for the same kind of things, even though they're being told, "Yo, look at this." Sure, they'll gravitate more towards a good vocal and a good production rather than a fun song but I don't think it will change that much either way. I don't know.
It's a very strange criteria for me because that would be a criteria that often the televote goes for, right?
Yeah.
What they will remember, and the jury's supposed to, I'm using, add nuance to it. This may not be most in-your-face song, but there is quality in the structure of the song or the lyrical content or the progression of this, whatever it may be that they use, they add a little bit more nuance to it. So if they just pick the most memorable, catchy song, it's like, then what's the purpose of you?
Yeah.
I know it serves another purpose because of the neighborly blah blah and stuff, but I don't know if this is truly a criteria that the juries should use for that reason. I do think it should be a little bit more detailed for them.
Yeah. It's still speculation, though, too.
Yeah, it's kind of well. Do you think UK will finish in the top 10? Yes or no? Okay, if you only want to give me a yes or no option without any nuance, I will say no.
I will say the same.
But there's nuance to it.
Yeah.
Number one, there's a difference of what I want, and I don't know the details, but you wanted a yes or no. So there's your answer.
Yeah, and we still need to see the live. I'm a little worried for it.
Yeah. Okay. Barcelona meetup. Well, I will be there, Julie. Ping me on Twitter or whatever. Roy won't be there, but Melanie and I will be there. So
I'll ask Melanie to bring a picture of me so you can still take a selfie with me on a picture thing.
There you go. You do the same thing in Amsterdam for me, right?
I'm not in Amsterdam either.
I thought you said you were in Amsterdam. Didn't you?
No, I have a festival while.
Oh, that's right. Never mind. So you're not going to be at any party this year?
No, but I mean, I need a money for Liverpool anyway, so.
Yeah, I shouldn't say regret doing the whole Barcelona thing. Like, if I had known how terrible Liverpool would be in terms of costs, I wouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
So I'm poor now. Very, very poor. My credit card is very happy because yay, I'm full of stuff.
I'll get you a coffee in Liverpool or something.
Probably going to cost another $5. At least the exchange rate, US dollar and pound, is pretty good, I think. So maybe that.
And at least people won't look weird at you when you order a cappuccino at 2 p.m. like you did last year in Italy.
Did I do something? What happened with cappuccino?
It's just something you Italians kind of frown upon, cappuccino
Oh,
at
really?
2 p.m.
Oh,
Yeah.
whatever. I didn't realize that. I just
No, it's fine. I don't think.
I mean, we didn't do much because every time we went out, we were at the pizza place across the street.
Or the coffee thingy below the apartment where we got those.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, good times. Feels like a
Yeah.
long time ago. We'll see what our new places are this time around. Do you think Croatia can qualify? I think I think if it does, it will be because of the televote. Well,
It's
there's
televote
only jury.
only.
There's only televote. So yeah, if it wasn't for the televote, they wouldn't qualify. That is true. I know it's still getting used to the fact that there are no juries in the semis voting. So
Yeah.
it is a little different. We talked about it briefly before we went live, actually, Roy and I. It came up. So Roy, do you want to reiterate what you mentioned earlier?
Do I
About
remember
Croatia?
what did I say about Croatia? I think it would
Can it qualify or not?
Yeah, I'll definitely, especially with televote only. It's very W2F on your screen, and I think that will work for a lot of people. And I think it's quite a catchy song as well, especially after you get the ABCD, when they do the alphabet thingy. You have a very catchy chorus there as well, and people will vote for it. It's televote only. If there were juries, I would have to think about it more. But with televote, I think it has got quite a good shot at qualifying.
We haven't seen the music video yet, but we are assuming, Roy, I think that there is no revamp, right? We think that it's basically the same song as what we heard before.
Yeah.
But we don't know if that is a fact.
They should have released it by now. I can look it up real quick. Because they were going to do that right at 8 p.m. my time, I think.
Oh, what time is it now?
It
must be premiering right now.
Yeah, it is actually. Wait. I have an app.
Yeah, she was saying it's airing right now. Okay, no wonder people left. Yeah, yeah, anyone who's watched it and is coming back, let me know. I'm assuming it's the same. I will say this. Croatia or the band, Let 3, clean up the song, the sound, make the staging a little bit more accessible, and I think you can qualify. I can see value in that certain parts of the song. I know it seems messy and disjointed at times, and it is, but I think in some ways it could be actually beneficial because it will be visually standing out, and if people can access this musically, this can easily qualify. Right now I'm leaning towards, yes, it can qualify. It could end up being more like an Israel 2007 push the button where it just doesn't come together and it just feels odd, because I had the issue when I watched the national final. I'm like, I had a hard time watching it because it was visually distracting and just I couldn't even look at it. And it's not just because they're wearing dresses later on and stuff. It was just the rockets and just this whole thing was just a little much for me. And I understand the band is known for shock value. You showed me that video on Instagram. Was it Instagram, Roy?
Yeah, it was an Instagram. They had like a
where they
promo.
showed like shots of their crotches and all that stuff with underwear at least, but so promoting it, so that's their thing. But you need to find a balance where you want to have a shock value without turning people, especially international crowds, off. There is a line, and if they can find that, I do think there are some cool moments. I really love the second part of the song where the choir comes in, providing a counter melody to his main vocals. So I don't think it is a foregone conclusion that they're not going to qualify. I think there is I think right now I'm leaning 60 yes, qualify. 65%. I'm doing 65% yes. But it's not a guarantee either. So that's how I feel.
The song seems to be equally long still. Like it's 2:37, it seems.
Yeah. I never understand why people don't use the 3 minutes. You're like, well, that does need more. We got everything in. Like you want to have as much time to, even if it's just to add a little firework, a little bit of that moment, you waste that opportunity. That's I've always say, and it's unfortunate, but that's their decision. Will you post a reaction to Melfest voting? I didn't record one. This is because I had to leave for a moment. I just saw it in the back, so I didn't record myself.
You?
So I could pretend now again. I'm like, ooh. Plus, we all knew what was going to happen anyways, right? It would have been the most boring reaction, probably.
Yeah. How dare you have a life outside of Eurovision? Like
I know it's not. I was around, but I had to go downstairs, and I couldn't record myself. And then fortunately, Portugal was way later, so I was able to because it was like 4:00 my time or something like that, so it was a little easier. But yeah, Sweden was during lunchtime, and I was dying. I was hungry. So any other questions? We have a couple more minutes at ESC United in the chat. Why you all think Maria saw flopping? I was sure she was getting top 3, but she was 9th place. So she didn't necessarily flop in the televote. I think she got like 5th or so in the televote, so it wasn't that bad. It's the flop we talked about earlier was a bit of a surprise that she didn't do as well with the juries, but Roy provided his insight about it. So, but it was the juries. So I don't think she flopped. I had predicted her actually in 4th place before, and she came 5th with the televote, so I wasn't like completely off. But yeah, anything else to add, Roy, on that?
I think we talked about it quite a lot already. So yeah, I don't know. It was okay. It was an okay ballad. I didn't see why it necessarily was an not automatic, but like direct to the final song. Yeah.
Who is your surprise drop performance in semifinal 1? What does it mean, drop performance? Like the song has a drop in it, or makes me drop to the floor?
Probably the one you think is a surprise non-qualifier. I think that's more the question.
The surprise non-qualifier. See, I like that drop, like I'm dropping to the floor. The surprise non-qualifier from semi 1. Well, we talked about, I think we both agreed there's potential for Czechia.
Yeah, that's definitely my answer. I just think a lot of people are underrating Malta and Ireland's chances. And Czechia could just really not pull it together. Like the harmonies still need to be perfect as well. And it's just a bit more of a it's not that much out there either, and maybe the people don't get the message either. So the video clip gets the message across very well, but will that happen on the stage? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and there is such a thing as going too literal with the staging and the symbolism. Because it can be really confusing. I remember Poland in 2010 shooting, eating the apple, and so like, what is this? So you can go over the top. What about Israel? Do you think there's a chance Israel will not come across? Or do you think that's not?
It's a lot. It's a lot of genres. It's a lot of everything, really. But I do think she is quite a good performer. So maybe she will be able to somehow like stitch them all together and get a full piece that will be enough to qualify. Like, she only needs to beat 5 other countries.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you only need to beat 5 countries because the number of participants is
low.
Really low. Okay, let's do this one question here. Who is winning each semi right now? Roy, who is going to win semi 1 based on your prediction? I'll say Sweden because easy enough.
Okay. I'll go Finland.
Finland. All right.
Yeah.
So Sweden and Finland are our guesses. Semi 2. That's a toughie. Wow. I was looking at it like there's no one that jumps out at me that says winner. It's going to be a bloodbath, man.
Georgia. Without knowing
we don't even have the song yet. Because I don't see a clear winner in semi 2.
No, not of right now, to be honest.
Austria, maybe if it's going to go so wild that people really, it works live, I could see in universe where Austria actually ends up winning. But it is polarizing. But sometimes you can be polarizing and still win. I could see, but yeah, I don't see any other song that jumps at me saying, that's the winner.
I think Georgia is like, it's second half of the semi, which usually quite helps. Either you open or second half is where the winner usually comes from of the semis. And Georgia has a good writers team behind it as well, but we need to wait for the song, of course. So it's really tough to say they're gonna win the semi without knowing the song. It's a bit odd, isn't it?
I know, it's a little odd, right? So maybe Armenia too, because there's a lot of, and we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, at this point, I don't know, man. That makes it fun though.
Yeah,
like those 2 semis.
It's a fun semi-final. The second one, I like it.
I mean, they're both fun, but for different reasons. Do you know what I mean? Like semi 1 is like all the hard hitters, like the one you're like, yeah. We even knew before we knew the songs when the allocation happened. I'm like, okay, semi 1, that's gonna be a bloodbath, and semi 2 will be the unknown and exactly
the flower bath.
Yeah. It's just very, very interesting. It's very interesting. Anyways, thank you so much, everyone, for coming back. We'll be back. Next time going to be probably on Saturdays again because Portugal is no longer doing their late national finals. Otherwise, we would have done it on Saturdays. But nobody wants to do one at 2 a.m. So thank you for watching, and we'll have lots of work ahead of us, the team, because we're going to do our jury videos. We got to do our top 10 videos. We're going to do our which year compared each song videos. There's so much going on, and the ranking, of course. We'll be very, very busy. So Roy, expect a text from me shortly.
Okay, I'll keep my phone ready for
text
that
like
one.
a message, whatever.
Okay.
I don't use WhatsApp. This is America. We don't WhatsApping here.
It's so weird, but
I know it's just we don't use it. Our texting is usually included, in our phone. So why would we do WhatsApp?
Matt still sends me pigeons from California to the Netherlands. That's how I know to go into the live stream. Like the link, I need to type it out for the live stream to join. Yeah.
Sorry, it's like I'm old-fashioned. I want to be a boomer. All right, everyone, have a good night. Okay, I'll talk to you all later.
Goodbye.
And subscribe, by the way. Subscribe now.